As a result of seeing the wind, feeling the waves, and observing those brooding dark clouds, Peter gave in to fear. He cried out, "Lord, save me." Peter experienced that sinking feeling. And that sinking feeling is the theme for our reflections today as we continue to journey with Peter through the narrative of Matthew 14, where Peter walks on the water with Jesus. A question: did Peter fail? Did Peter fail? Ponder that for a moment. You see, failure is not an event per se, but rather failure is a judgment about an event. It's a way we think about outcomes. Before Jonas Salk developed a vaccine for polio that finally worked, he tried, believe it or not, 200 unsuccessful ones. Somebody once asked him, how did it feel to be a failure on 200 occasions? Salk replied, "I've never failed on 200 occasions in my life. I was taught not to use the word failure. I just discovered 200 ways how not to vaccinate for polio." Joan Salk made 200 unsuccessful attempts to create a polio vaccine. Was Jonas Salk a failure? I don't think so. Did Peter fail? Well, I suppose in a way he did, in that his faith wasn't strong enough, his doubts were stronger, he let his mind run away with him. He saw the wind, he took his eyes off where they should have been, and he began to go under, he began to sink. In that sense, he failed. But I think there were 11 bigger failures. There were 11 bigger failures sitting in the boat. They failed quietly. They failed privately. Their failure to get out of the boat went unnoticed, unobserved, uncriticized. It was only Peter, vulnerable, honest, loud-mouthed Peter, who knew the shame, as it were, of public failure, of getting 2 steps and then his faith gave out. Peter, for sure, on a human level, perhaps failed. But I think there were 11 bigger failures sitting in that boat. Only Peter, the disciple of Jesus Christ, knew the glory, the exhilaration, the joy of walking on water. He alone knew, in a way that the 11 other disciples could not and did not know, the euphoria of being with Jesus on the water and being empowered by God to walk on the water. You see, once Peter walked on the water, he never would have forgotten that day, that experience. Peter would not have forgotten that moment, that day, that those exhilarating times for the rest of his life. I think Peter carried that joyful, that exhilarating moment of walking on the water with Jesus with him up to the point he died. That sinking feeling can bring us to a place of questioning. Am I a failure? Have I messed up? Well, With Jesus, failure is never final. Failure is never final. And Peter would mess up time and time and time again. But here, when Peter failed, humanly speaking, when he took his eyes off Jesus, when he began to sink, we might well say Peter failed in that he didn't get more than 3 or 4 steps on the water. He began to question, and he began to think, am I a failure? And we can often question, and that sinking feeling can bring us to a place of questioning, can bring us to a place of failure, but it can also bring us to a place of action, where he made that split-second decision, Lord, save me. Lord, save me. And sometimes in the storm, sometimes when we feel as if we are sinking, when we feel as if we are going down, when we are just not feel we're getting anywhere, when we have that very real sinking feeling, Jesus brings us to that place. Jesus brings us to that place where he invites us to take that one small step of action and to walk on the water with him. It also brings us, I believe, to a place of learning. Water walkers, like Peter, do not see failure as failure, but see failure as an opportunity to grow. You see, it was Peter's willingness to risk failure that helped him to grow. Because Peter put himself in a position to fail, he also by default put himself in a position to grow. Failure, hear this, is an indispensable, irrefutable, and irreplaceable part of learning and growth. Failure does not shape you. Oh, you may have messed up like Peter thousands of times. You may have had that sinking feeling on numerous occasions. Failure does not shape you when Jesus is involved, when Jesus takes your hand. The way you respond to failure shapes you. It was Peter's willingness to risk failure that helped him to grow. And yet that sinking feeling brought Peter to a place of refuge. Lord, save me. And what did Jesus do? Note the word, immediately. Immediately, Jesus reached out his hand and took Peter's. Immediately, Jesus reached out his hand. If you feel you are sinking today in whatever situation you may find yourself in, if you feel in the pit of your stomach that sinking feeling, Jesus already has his hand outstretched to you and invites you to place your hand in his. Today, if you're experiencing that sinking feeling, if you're questioning, if you feel that you've failed, if you're just needing that reassurance, well, Jesus is there to provide the antidote to that sinking feeling and to provide that place of refuge. Jesus, as he walks to you on the water, already has his hand outstretched. Today, will you place your hand in his?